So yesterday was GoPro Day. That's when GoPro released their brand new cameras, and this year they released the GoPro Hero Black number 13 and the GoPro Hero. And it was good, it was bad, and it was in some ways a little bit ugly. And in this video we're going to go through the features and the highlights and the lowlights from yesterday's GoPro Hero 13 release. Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is Adventure Tim. If you're into action cameras like GoPro and DJI and mounts and accessories, well then you're in the right place, because that's what we cover here on this channel. And if that's your bag, hey, why not consider subscribing? Well, it seems like it's been such a long wait between GoPro Hero cameras. The 12 come out around about the 13th of September last year, and this year, or this week, on the 4th of September, they released their brand new GoPro Hero 13. And there were some really good points in the new release. One of the first things to really appreciate is the brand new battery, which we released in a leak video from a couple of weeks ago. So we knew it was coming. It's 1900 milliamp hours, which means it gives you a lot more recording time than the previous GoPro Hero batteries, even the Enduro batteries. So filming at 1080p, you can get up to an extra 2.5 hours, GoPro tells us, with this new battery. And if you're filming at 5.3K, that's an extra 1.5 hours of battery life, which is pretty extraordinary and something that GoPro should really be commended for bringing onto the market. Also, with the new battery, there's been a whole new range, as well as a new battery, a whole new range of new accessories have come out. There's the ultra-wide lens, which is kind of the same as last year's Max Lens Mod 2.0, which was on the Hero 12. They've also brought out a macro lens, which is great. As we knew from leaks as well, it can actually zoom into like 4 times closer than normal, so you can get as close as 11 centimeters away from your subject, which is pretty extraordinary, and it does have like the manual kind of dial on there as well, so you can use that. It has this thing where it's called, it can actually focus in on your subject, so when you look at it on the back of the camera, you can tell it's going to have the correct focus on your subject that you are filming, which is pretty sensational, so thumbs up to that one, GoPro. Also, ND filters, we knew they were coming as well. ND filters are a fantastic addition to the GoPro catalog of accessories. They really kind of help if you want to add like motion blur to your shots, which can look pretty sensational and much more cinematic. We knew about their brand new version of HDR, or the HDR version they're bringing, which is called HLG HDR, which we spoke about in an earlier video. Basically, it gives you richer details, makes the video look more vibrant. It actually does look really, really good, although they did introduce HDR on the Hero 12 as well, so that's a slight step up from that. They also have this one-shot share mode as well, where you can actually have the same bit of footage, and you can actually choose wide, vertical, or full frame for your shot, so you can actually distribute it over multiple social channels. This one was really good too. We knew it was coming. The magnetic latch mount, it allows you to attach and then detach your GoPro from different locations and then reattach it in a different area, or maybe a different part of the room where you're filming, so that's kind of pretty cool. Of course, that was also on the DJI Osmo Action 4, which came out last year. So GoPro is a bit behind the ball on that one. GoPro also has its like trademark, or I guess their trademark, little GoPro fingers. They're still there as well. And the Hero 13 Black also has the 1/4-inch screw, so you can use the camera on a normal camera tripod, which is introduced with last year's camera. So that's all good stuff. Another thing which is really exciting, and I'm glad to see they brought it back, is GPS data. It's something they took away from the Hero 12. A lot of people complained about it, but thankfully GoPro has listened and they have brought it back. Good news, well done GoPro. This thing's an awesome option if you say filming like action things like maybe skiing or mountain biking, or even just driving in your car. You can actually add all these awesome GPS data features to your footage in the GoPro Hero app, and also with third-party programs as well. I got a video coming up on that very shortly, so make sure you look out for that one. So that's a really good thing that GoPro's done. Another thing they're touting is faster wireless transfer from your GoPro Hero to your phone, or in particular the GoPro Quik app. And they say this new camera is going to do it up to 40% faster, which is pretty extraordinary because it's using a new version of Wi-Fi that they haven't used before called Wi-Fi 6. Now, this one, I didn't expect this one, and I'm pretty stoked about it. It's called the Magnetic Door and Power Cable Kit. And what that basically means is that you can actually have this attachment. It's like a door that you put on the side of your GoPro, replace the existing one, and you get this magnetic latch kit. So what happens is you can actually connect that to a USB source, like say a battery pack, and you can use that to kind of power your GoPro without the battery if you wish, or it's ideally for doing things like time lapses. Say you might want to film, say, the night sky and capture the stars through the movement, through the whole duration of their time in the sky in the wee hours. That's where something like this would come in super duper handy, and I really like this idea. This is a great innovation from GoPro. And also the cool thing is that you can actually charge your GoPro camera this way without sacrificing the waterproofing element of the camera. So that's a definite thumbs up. Another really cool thing about the new GoPro Hero 13 is something they call auto tuning. And auto tuning is an option where you can actually choose to either have the normal kind of sound, which is recorded by the GoPro Hero, which is pretty good quality, or you can have it where it actually highlights the voice by turning it onto the voice mode. This is called audio tuning, and what it does is it actually prioritizes the voice in the video above other ambient sounds. So that's actually a pretty cool feature, and one that is a definite thumbs up from me with the GoPro Hero 13 Black. Alright, so now we're going to look at some of the things that GoPro's done with the GoPro Hero 13 Black, which are not bad. They're not great, but they're not terrible. That's coming up soon. So we're going to run through some of them right here in this section right now. So one of the things that is a brand new feature is what GoPro is calling BURST SLO MO. So what it actually does, it actually allows you to film it up to 400 frames per second, which sounds fantastic, but it's at 720p, and you can do that for 15 seconds. Now, although this may sound impressive, 720p is actually pretty average looking footage. Like, it's a nice little feature. It actually means it's like 13 times slower than like what normal recording speed. But really, is this a feature that's going to be like really popular, especially when the quality is not so great? They do have a slightly better option though, one which is 360 frames per second, which is still extraordinary, but that one's at 900p. So less than full HD, but still much better quality. And once again, you can do that mode, that slow burst mode, for up to 15 seconds. So if you want something higher quality, we can actually record at up to 120 frames per second in 5.3K, which sounds great, but it's only for 5 seconds. So this new slow burst mode, or burst slow mo mode from GoPro, is something which sounds like it's not a bad idea, but it sounds a bit more like a gimmick rather than something which is like, you know, extraordinary. Doll, I hate to say this, but all the glitters is not always gold, and sometimes you're going to find a little bit of mold. And this year with the GoPro Hero 13, there are a few features that are really not quite up to the sort of standard that you would expect from a GoPro, or not what I would expect from such an awesome company with all the products they've done in the past. The first thing that's kind of disappointing is that the sensor on the GoPro Hero 13 is the same as the sensor on the GoPro Hero 12, which is the same as the sensor on the GoPro Hero 11. So in the past 2 or 3 years, GoPro hasn't upped the ante on their sensor size. And with this sensor, which is currently 1/1.9, it means that although it does a great job filming at daytime, in low light situations, it's a little bit subpar, especially when you compare it to the Insta360s and when you compare it to the DJI Osmo Actions of the world. GoPro is kind of behind in the sensor size. A lot of people this year expected them to at least maybe increase the size of the sensor or maybe even match DJI's 1/1.3, but once again this year we're stuck with a sensor size that is kind of falling behind the pack, so that is disappointing. Another thing that is a little bit annoying about this new camera is, although the new battery is fantastic, it's not backward compatible, so it's a slightly different size and shape, and the way how the connectors work is in a different location inside the camera. So you can't use the old Enduro batteries with this new Hero 13, and you can't use this brand new Hero 13 battery with the old GoPro cameras, which kind of sucks a little bit. Another thing which really kind of bugs me about the release this year is that there's so many accessories, and a lot of them are great, but they do become very, very expensive. One of the main features, which I forgot to mention earlier, is a brand new anamorphic lens. An anamorphic lens adds like lens flares to your footage. It gives you this epic kind of cinematic kind of look. It looks fantastic. But if you want to buy the lens attachment, which goes onto the camera, it's called like an ultra wide angle lens basically, that in Australia costs $220, which is around about 130 US and about 130 pound in the UK. So that's what you have to pay for that lens on top of the price of your GoPro. And here in Australia, the price of the brand new GoPro is going to start at $650. So if you're buying a brand new GoPro and then you're just buying one lens, you're already like up to like, you're heading towards $1,000. And then the same thing kind of goes with the new macro lens, which is going to come in about 220 Australian dollars, which is 129 US and 129 pound in the UK. So these things, so the cost of all these new accessories kind of add up. And all of a sudden your camera, which you think you're buying for, I don't know, $600, you're now spending more than $1,000 to get the full benefit out of what GoPro is offering with this new camera and its new options. One great thing about the camera though is if you do put these new lenses on, the camera actually knows straight away which lens it is, and then it will kind of adjust its settings, so you're going to get, you know, the best possible footage with your GoPro Hero. But that to me is pretty annoying. Like even the ND filters, the 4-pack of filters, which look great and they're going to really add to your footage and really kind of help you when you want to get that, you know, that beautiful kind of like motion blur in your footage. It's going to retail $120 here in Australia, or 69 US and 69 pounds, so it can get very expensive. Even the magnetic door and cable kit that I spoke about earlier, or the power cable kit, which is one of my favorite things about this new Hero, that's going to set you back 140 bucks here in Australia. So if you really want to get a lot of what they're like touting as the upgrades or the benefits of this year's camera, well then you've got to start shelling out the big bucks, and that, in my opinion, is not great. Alright, so right now we're going to briefly have a look at the other camera that GoPro released on the 4th of September. It's just called the GoPro Hero. It's a very basic kind of camera. It's a great way to get into the action camera arena if you haven't bought a GoPro before, or another action camera brand. The Hero is quite different in some ways. It doesn't have a front-facing screen. It does have one on the rear, which is great, so you can actually see what you're filming. It's a bit of an upgrade from the old Hero 11 Mini. That one didn't have a rear-facing screen. This one does. That's a real a good point about it. It's only tiny. It only weighs 86 grams. Now, do you know that at 86 grams, this camera actually weighs less than a strip of butter and less than a medium-sized apple, which is pretty extraordinary. So that's one of the other benefits of this camera. It means you can put it in different locations or use it for different activities perhaps than what you'd use the Hero 13 Black for. As I said, it's light, it's very simple and easy to use. Unlike the GoPro Hero, it only has 3 modes. It has photo mode, it has video mode, and it has slow-mo mode. So it's really kind of very basic. It does the job. It can do some good footage. You can actually film up to 4K 30 frames per second or 4K 25 frames per second. So you can still get some really good quality footage. But if you want that higher end, like the 5.3K, or you want to slow down your footage, you know, to half the speed or even more, well then maybe the Hero sort of is not the camera for you. This camera as well can only go down to like about 5 meters or 16 feet underwater, which is pretty good for most circumstances. Unless you're doing a lot of scuba diving, you probably don't need to go much lower than that. So that could be seen as a benefit of it. Like the new Hero 13 and the 12, it has a hydrophobic lens which repels water, which is great. It means you don't have any droplets left on your footage, on your camera lens when you take it out of the water after it's been, under the sea. So that's a really good option. It has an Enduro battery built into the camera, so you don't actually put a battery in or take it out. It's just always in there, which can be good, but it can be problematic. Say if like something goes wrong with the battery, well then the camera is pretty much cactus and you can't really do much about it from there on. So hopefully that's going to be a good thing. It does have GoPro's trademark fingers on the bottom. It doesn't have a 1/4-inch mount, so you can't put it onto a regular tripod, and it doesn't have the magnetic mount system which is on the GoPro Hero 13 Black. So it's a good camera, but these are things that you need to consider before you go out there and you purchase the new GoPro Hero. It does come in a lot less when it comes to the price though. Here in Australia it's going to retail for around about $350, whereas in the UK it's going to come in around about £199, and in the US you'll be paying just under $200. GoPro has been making great action cameras for a long time now, and the whole world, or the action camera world, was pretty interested to see what they were going to do this year with the GoPro Hero 13 Black, and of course the new cheaper version, the GoPro Hero. Is it a game changer? Is it something that's going to prompt people who've had GoPros for a long time to go out and buy the brand new model? I don't know. It does have some great features, but there's some areas where I really think GoPro has dropped the ball this time, and it's not quite the game changer that some of us were wanting, or definitely me, that I was wanting and kind of hoping for. DJI has their brand new Osmo Action 5 and the Osmo Action 5 Pro coming out in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they release in this year's model. When I find more information about that camera's release, I'll let you know here on the channel. If you want to learn more about GoPros, action cameras, mounts and accessories, all that kind of wonderful jazz, you want to click on this video over here next. As usual, thank you for your company. I really appreciate your support, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.